time to build the brand. Why are we building a brand in a cave? What's it got to do with building a brand in the 21st century? What's it got to do with marketing today? Well, if we are right in saying that marketing isn't an end in itself, that marketing is a means to an end, a toolkit to build brand value, and if we see it has always been a toolkit to build a brand and always will be, then we have to be able to do marketing anytime, anywhere, today, tomorrow, and yesterday. If we can do it in a cave, if we did it in a cave intuitively, with no modern marketing tools, no TV, no profiling, no social media, no Google, no Facebook, no newspapers, no business schools, no marketing courses, no books, we can indeed build a brand anytime, including today, by using the basic tools of marketing to do so. More importantly, if our hairy ancestor could do all this untutored in marketing, and with no certificate or degree in marketing, no boss, no marketing department, no consultants, then anyone can build a brand. So let's go see how he did it. Let's go build a brand. Introducing Fred. We pick up Fred's story at a time when he's aging a bit, putting on a bit of weight, slowing down. Happens to all of us, believe me. So he doesn't have as much success as a hunter anymore. What Fred needs is a partner, a younger neighbor who runs fast but doesn't know the territory. And his neighbor, let's call him Elvis, fits the bill. Runs fast, very, very fast. Time for an exchange of values. Elvis's speed, value 1, for Fred's know-how, value 2. Fred sets out to control the exchange of values. In Fred's head, I want something from you, of value to me. Your speed as a hunting partner. How do I get it, Elvis? I have to give you something in return of value to you. What might you want of value to you? Knowledge of where the game is. And Fred starts to offer it. I have it. Here is what I have. It's precisely what you want. Knowledge of where the game is. Let's exchange. Our hero, Caveman Fred, is in serious trouble. He hunts, but very occasionally. He can't keep up with his fit young neighbor, Elvis, anymore. No hunting, no food, no hunting, no skins for clothing. Elvis's larder is full, his family well fed. Elvis has enough bison meat to feed an army of Neanderthals, all stored in his cave. But there's a problem. Elvis has food, Fred needs food, but Elvis isn't going to give him his surplus food for nothing. But Fred has noticed one thing. Elvis shivers a lot when they get together for their monthly bison barbecue. While Fred sits warm and cozy in his knitted sweater, Elvis has a skinny loincloth wrapped around his middle, and about midnight, even with a blazing campfire, Elvis starts to turn a nasty shade of blue. An idea takes shape in Fred's mind. I need something from Elvis of value to me, his surplus food. How do I get it? I have to give him something in return of value to him. What might Elvis need of value to him? A warm garment, a sweater perhaps. I knit great sweaters and could knit one for Elvis. And Fred offers the sweater. I have what you need, Elvis. Here is what I have. It's precisely what you need. A warm sweater knitted by me. Your food for my sweater. Elvis accepts. The exchange of values takes place. In no time at all, Fred knits a thick brown sweater, Elvis's favorite color. Elvis hands over bison steaks. Fred hands over the sweater. The exchange of values, quite concrete values this time, is made. Win-win. Warm Elvis, well-fed Fred and family, everyone satisfied, and brand Fred has taken a step forward into a new market. Fred is running out of food again. The cave cupboard is bare. His neighbor Elvis's bison steaks are a distant memory. No hunting for Fred in weeks. Fred's a quick knitter. He can whip up a sweater in no time. But Elvis already has a brown sweater, and brown is Elvis's favorite color. Fred has once again to offer Elvis something of value to Elvis, and a second brown sweater doesn't fit the bill. Fred, however, keeps his eyes open, and he's noticed that Elvis is quite fastidious in his dress. He likes to dress appropriately for the occasion. His only daughter is to wed soon, and will of course be dressed in white, as will the bride's father. Cave weddings are very formal. Brown won't do at his daughter's wedding. Fred is convinced that a white Fred sweater will do the trick. White sweater for food. So here we go again. Fred controls the exchange. I need something of value from Elvis. His surplus food. What value might Elvis need? A white sweater for cold weddings. I have what you need, a smart, warm white sweater knitted by me. Let's exchange your food for my sweater. The exchange of values will be made, controlled by Fred. Food for white sweater. But as Fred is knitting his latest piece of cave haute couture, a thought occurs to him. Fred's pretty proud of his knits. He takes care with measuring, sizing, choosing good wool, dyeing and bleaching. These sweaters aren't just ordinary sweaters. These are Fred sweaters, and they are special. So, says Fred, I will sew a label on the sweater, in case anyone is interested in who knitted it. And the label will say, a Fred sweater. The label is stitched on the sweater. Elvis wears it to the party, people admire the white sweater, and some note the label. Brand Fred has taken another step forward. Let's follow the brand to its next stage. There were a lot of guests at Elvis's daughter's wedding. Elvis is well connected, and several of them remarked on Elvis's splendid white sweater. Some of the admirers of the white sweater noted the label, and a few even came up to Fred and said, "Did you really knit that beauty, Fred?" And even, "Might you knit one for me?" It just so happened that one of the admirers was Fred's landlord, who shall be known as George. Now this matters. With no significant hunting income recently, Fred has fallen into arrears with his rent. The family is now well fed, but is facing eviction from their cosy cave. Time for an exchange of value, thinks our budding brand manager. A brand Fred sweater for George in exchange for a year's rent. You can imagine the conversation. I want a year rent free in my cave, George. You want a sweater. What color is your favorite? I have your sweater. Let's exchange. The cave community is full of prosperous neighbors. They all wear loincloths, they all get cold at night, and they all want to look good. And they all have values Fred would like to get his hands on. One collects wood for fires, another turns clay into pots, a third makes furniture. Fred the marketer starts his campaign. No internet, no TV, face-to-face. One by one he starts with the firewood king. I need firewood for my cave. You want a sweater. I have your sweater. Let's exchange. But disaster strikes. Tom, the firewood dude, says, "Cool idea, Fred, but I just got offered a sweater by your competitor." Another cave dweller has seen how Fred does his sweater business. Reckons sweater knitting is straightforward. He's about to screw up all Fred's dreams. It's not fair, but it is, and always has been, what we call business. On the other hand, Fred has learned one eternal lesson. There always is and always will be competition. But Fred is made of sterner stuff than you might think. Now listen here, Tom, old friend. What I'm offering is no ordinary sweater. I'm offering you a Fred sweater. Every sweater I offer you carries the Fred label, and the Fred label is a guarantee of certain qualities. The color is precisely the color you want. The wool is the finest wool from young woolly mammoths. The weave is tight and cold resistant, and you order today and get it tomorrow. Only a brand Fred sweater does all these things for you. This is precisely what you want. No competitor can offer you what a brand Fred sweater offers you. Ask Elvis. Ask Tom, the landlord. Brand Fred sweater for your firewood. Value for value. Let's exchange. Which of course they do. Each time a sweater is sold, Fred makes it clear why a Fred sweater is preferable to any other sweater on offer. Why a Fred sweater has more value to the customer. Fred's intuitive marketing is bringing home the bacon, the bison steaks, the wood, and the high life in a cool cave. An important question. We know his sweaters have value for Fred in exchanges. We know his sweaters have value for his growing bank of customers. But what's the value of brand Fred, the name on the label? What is the brand worth? Well, we're about to find out. Because on a bright frosty morning, Fred falls under a bus. Well, no, of course, prehistoric cave towns don't have buses, but that's not the point. Fred is no more. Fred has demised. And so, Mrs. Fred, until now a quiet Neanderthal housewife, cooking, cleaning, caring for the children, and generally doing a highly effective but discreet job of cave-keeping, moves to centre stage. And centre stage is not a comfortable place to be. The rent is due, the larder won't last long, it's very cold, and the wood is going to run out soon. Mrs. Fred faces eviction, starvation, and the prospect of her family freezing to death. Not a pretty prospect, and no Fred. No Fred to get her out of the hole, and worse still, no Fred to blame for her woes. But Mrs. Fred has two things which can save the day. She has a lot of sweaters, a warehouse full, not a very large warehouse, but it is full of sweaters, all labelled a Fred sweater. And she owns that brand. Brand Fred was left to her in Fred's will. She also has Fred's notes. Fred kept accounts and recorded other musings on tablets of stone. On one she found he had chipped out some text. some copy for an advertisement he was thinking of running in the local newsstones. Every Fred sweater is knitted in the colour of your choice. Every Fred sweater is knitted from finest mammoth wool and tight woven against the cold. A Fred sweater comes with 24-hour delivery guarantee. Mrs. Fred quickly grasped the secret of Fred's success. It is those words repeated to each and every buyer that persuades them to exchange their values for a Fred sweater in preference to any other sweater. Out of the cave she strides with sweaters in one hand and Fred's words in the other. Once again, things are not good for Mrs. Fred. Fred is now long gone too are the sweaters Fred knitted. Mrs. Fred faces an empty warehouse, starving children all over again, eviction, a mini ice age, and no Fred. Worse still, no sweaters. What does she have? She has nothing. Well, wrong, she has the brand. She owns Brand Fred, and now that really matters. Is Brand Fred worth anything? Time to find out. Remember that sneaky dude who tried to mess up Fred's fledgling sweater business by offering his customers an alternative sweater, competition. Fred saw him off by emphasizing the unique and different qualities of Brand Fred sweaters. We now find out the competition was called Gordon, and Gordon knows how to knit. One very frosty morning, Mrs. Fred is standing by her soon-to-be-abandoned cave, wondering what to do next, when Gordon just happens to stop by. "Heard you might be short of sweaters," he says, "and you can't knit, but I can. Now, you have Brand Fred, I have sweaters, or could knit sweaters. I have the skill, I have the kit. Is there a deal to be made?" Now, Mrs. Fred is desperate, but not dim. She sees the opportunity, but she is cautious. Okay, you can knit, but can you knit to the quality of Fred sweaters? Can you knit the colours that our customers like? Can you knit high-grade woolly mammoth wool? And can you knit tight and warm for the new ice age? Can you knit for 24-hour delivery? Well, Gordon can. Gordon knits. Every sweater is up to Fred's specification. Every sweater carries a label, a Fred sweater. Customers exchange over and over again. Mrs. Fred eats again and lives happily ever after in her deluxe cave. She is also now Mrs. Gordon. All that is left of Fred is a bank of memories, some stone tablets, and a very valuable brand. Its value recognized by its many satisfied customers, and its value appreciated by Mrs. Gordon and the children, who will in due course inherit the brand. The brand will live forever, delivering sweater after sweater, labelled Fred, and sold as offering your favourite colour, woolly mammoth wool, tight knit for extra warmth, and 24-hour delivery. No internet, no TV, no consultants, no experts, no business schools, no marketing. Or is that right? If marketing is a toolkit to build value, and that value resides in a brand, was it not marketing which created and built the value of Brand Fred? If not the methodical marketing of the modern era, at least the intuitive marketing of the thousands of years that preceded it. At the beginning of our story, there is no income, no business, no brand, no product, nothing. At the end, there is brand income and brand value, value to customers, potential customers, and value for whoever is the brand's owner. In Part 1, Fred initiates and controls just one exchange of values. In Part 2, Fred swaps his product for some income, and in so doing tiptoes into commerce. In Part 3, in a giant step forward, Fred sticks a label on his product. He brands it. The label identifies it as a Brand Fred product. Branded product from now is exchanged for income. In Part 4, Fred controls another exchange, same product type, and the same brand, income for branded product, again, but a new customer. In Part 5, Fred faces competition. To make this exchange, Fred must communicate the advantages of his brand over a competing offering. Fred's offering is not just any product. This is a Fred product. Every Brand Fred labeled product from now offers special value to the customers. In Part 6, Fred is gone. Some product remains, but more importantly, so does the brand. It becomes clear that whoever owns Brand Fred now controls the exchange process. Income flows, and brand value is reinforced. In Part 7, Fred the founder is now a distant memory. Mrs. Fred generates income through her brand, Brand Fred. The product is what we call today outsourced. It is the brand which is special, guarantees the promise, and generates the income. Value has been created, and it resides firmly in the brand. Fred created a product and exchanged it repetitively for income. He gave the product a name and a label, brand Fred. He communicated the brand's advantages over competitors. He or she who owns the brand owns the income potential which flows from its value to its customers. Is this marketing that has built this brand value, intuitive or whatever? If marketing is the toolkit that builds value, and the value resides in a brand, and if value has been created in the brand, customers and owners, then we may assume that it is marketing which has built that value. Faced with the dizzying array of tools from which today's marketer must choose, which are the principal tools of marketing? Which tool do I reach for first to manage brand value? Which tool or tools did Fred pull out of the bag to create brand Fred? In our 7-part fable, the key moments to revisit were the moment Fred produced the right product with the right benefits for his customers, and the moment he communicated those benefits to his customers. The product he produced was right for his customers, and what he said about it was right for his customers. Looking back through our 21st century lens, we can now see that when he did that, he picked just 2 marketing tools. We know those today as 2 Ps, not 10, only 2. P for product and promotion, better described as communication, which sadly doesn't begin with a P. No matter. Hold in your mind that Fred used the 2 Ps that count, P for product and P for promotion, to create and sustain the perception of brand value. Decisions on what we now call marketing choices are particularly consequential and not made any easier by the complex array of 21st century marketing tools at our disposal. Should I dive into social media? Go into a customer development program? Customer relationship management? Should I sponsor a sportsman, a deserving charity? Should I hire a salesman, print a brochure, cut the price, change the product, tinker with the service, cut cost, increase spending? For how long and how much? Long-term benefit, short-term benefit, or both? All these and hundreds more are options in marketing decision mode, and all involve tools from the marketing kit. Which one to pick? Which is right? Fred did not have hundreds of marketing tools at his disposal, but he created a brand, and he created value in the brand. Value for customers, value for Fred, and value for his heirs. Fred is absolutely the right guy to help us choose how to prioritize the marketing tools, even though he did not have what we have today. Indeed, it is precisely because he didn't have them that we should learn from Fred. If he didn't have these tools, and he effectively built a brand, then he didn't need them. And if he didn't need them, we don't need them today. We can benefit from them, but we don't need them. We need just the 2 Ps that he had, and are still the key today. We must have the right product for our customers, and we must tell them why they should buy it, in preference to any competing offer. P product, P communication, competitive communication. We're not going to devote any more time to this. We need the time to help you use these 2 tools effectively. We will in time scope many of the modern marketing tools, but we'll visit them all in the context of the master 2 Ps, product and promotion. If they don't go where the 2 master tools go, we won't use them. End. If you're still in doubt, listen again to the fable of Fred. If you still don't believe in the 2 Ps, feel free to do your own thing. But if you buy in, follow us, and we will concentrate on how to use the 2 Ps of marketing, product and communication, to build brand value. Please join us.